The war in Ukraine now presents a clear and present danger to the American economy as we know it. And record high gas prices are really just the beginning. Oil hit $121 a barrel today. Gas is the highest it's ever been. That's the tip of the iceberg. What's worse is we are learning that for every dollar oil prices go up, the pain Americans feel is going right in to Vladimir Putin's pocket and funding the war we are all sacrificing, allegedly trying to stop. The White House still refuses to sanction Putin's energy sector or the banks that finance it.
What the president is most focused on is ensuring we are continuing to take steps to deliver punishing economic consequences on Putin, while taking all action necessary to limit the impact to prices at the gas pump.
So, as oil has skyrocketed over the past few weeks, this goes all the way back to 2012 on this graph, but you can see just on the right-hand side, from the bottom of 2020 all the way up, how quickly it's gone. Vladimir Putin keeps selling oil, now at higher and higher prices. That gives him hard currency to fund the war. Over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot about the United States maybe banning Russian imports. There's a bill in Congress about that right now. That does nothing to Vladimir Putin except make the United States feel better as we pay higher prices at the pump. As long as Putin can sell oil to China or Malaysia or Japan and clear those transactions through his energy banks, higher oil prices only help him. Today, gas hit a record, 407. That's the national average. So whatever numbers we talk about, relate those back to the national average as it compares to your city. The average in California is 534, up 66 cents from last month. In New York, 426, up 68 cents from last month. Here in Illinois, the average is 440, up 69 cents from last month. The national average of $5 would represent an increase of $1.50 in the past month, and that is very possible. Oil traders are betting on 200 a barrel oil, which translates to gas well above $5. 12 barrels of oil per year is what the average American uses, 562 gallons of gas. We're only talking about gas at this point. So what does that mean for you? For every dollar gas goes up, the average American spends an additional $560 a year. Since President Biden took office, gas is up $1.70. As we said, gas prices are just the start. Oil goes into everything. The price of oil goes up, the price of everything goes up. Let's consider ordering a cheeseburger for delivery tonight. Since I haven't had lunch, this looks awfully good. Gas goes into everything. For the driver to bring you the meal, gas for all the delivery guys bringing the meat, buns, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and bacon to the burger place. Beef prices are going up this week. Well, as you can see, they're already up 23 cents because oil goes into everything. The farmer uses gas and equipment. The cows have to go to the slaughterhouse. Feed has to come to the farmer. It continues to compile. Not just meat. Wheat to make the bun is up 45% in a week. Consider the delivery itself. Without the gas into the car, oil goes into the plastic and fork knife that comes with your burger. It also makes the tires for the delivery guy more expensive when he has to replace them on his car. Now think about the guy who owns the burger joint. His meat prices are up, his bun prices are up. It costs more to deliver your burger. He pays more for electricity because natural gas prices are up. Those all go into the cost of your cheeseburger. With that in mind, oil is at $125 a barrel, roughly double from where it started at the beginning of the Biden administration. Imagine your monthly expenses with oil at $200. And remember, this is all happening before any of these sanctions are hitting Vladimir Putin's oil industry or his ability to sell oil. If that happens, Katie barred the door. I could go on, but that would leave left time for Trish Regan, renowned financial journalist, host of The Trish Regan Show, who joins us now. Big picture, Trish, can the American economy work with oil at $200 a barrel?
No. I mean, no. We're not equipped for $200 a barrel. We're not equipped for $150. We were already dealing, Leland, and by the way, great articulation of everything that's going on, I'm just going to say, but we're already dealing with $150 as a threat, $180, next stop $200. Look at the 40-year high we've got with inflation right now. I mean, what are we really talking about? You're going to kill the American economy, and middle-class Americans and poor Americans, Leland, they're going to feel it the most. they're going to feel this hard. They're already feeling it. And it's a sad and scary moment because we like to think sort of big picture, right? We like to think, oh, well, we need to take a stand, and we should take a stand. I think they do need to sanction this oil. But nonetheless, what are we going to do when that happens? How are we going to confront $200 a barrel? We can't.
How does this work? And your financial journalism background really plays here. How do we go about actually hurting, if we're going to endure all this pain as we are with high gas prices, how do we actually hurt Vladimir Putin?
How do we hurt? Well, one, we do need to sanction him, okay? I mean, I'm sort of stunned that there's all this going on and all this drama, and he's done so many horrific things, and so many people have gotten killed, and what we stand by and we kind of do nothing. I mean, we're sort of sanctioning here and there on the edges. We need to actually sanction him. Apparently, we're trying to do that with the Europeans, and I'm like, what is it? The Europeans still haven't sanctioned him? For goodness sakes! I mean, it's right there in their
so the White House talking point that, look, we're doing everything we can to take on Vladimir Putin, and the Europeans are really taking a tough line. There's loopholes.
They haven't sanctioned him. I mean, cut them off financially. And you know what? I think, and I've talked to you about this behind the scenes. I mean, I think that we've got to be prepared for sanctioning him and what that's going to mean. And so it means we have to think about being smarter as a country. And that means XL pipeline. I'm sorry, but Joe Biden canceled that. I bet a lot of people are thinking maybe that wasn't such a bright idea, right? To cancel that as soon as he got into office. We need more energy here. There are other sources. You've got the administration now gallivanting all over the world looking for more oil. I would recommend that they double down on the country that is pretty close to the United States, just 3 hours off the coast of Miami, and that would be Venezuela. I mean, It's not perfect, but it sure beats Russia.
Yeah, well,
it's
interesting. 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Russians were in Caracas talking to Nicolas Maduro's regime. Obviously, President Trump tried to throw the Maduro regime out. The Kremlin saved them. Now, this past weekend, there was a U.S. delegation down there from the Biden administration, conceivably trying to bring Maduro into the U.S. sphere of influence, if you will. How do you do business with a man like Maduro, who you yourself a couple of years ago was calling him the same thing everybody's calling Vladimir Putin now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have been extremely critical of the Maduro regime. I am one who wants democracy and freedom in Venezuela, but above all, I want democracy and freedom here. And part of democracy and freedom means some stability in oil prices. So I recognize that. My allegiance is to the United States of America above all. I think at this moment in time, when we're looking at what we're looking at, I mean, Nicolas Maduro is not, bombing his neighbor, Colombia. We need to be a little bit rational here. We need to be realists here. And I say this as someone who has been highly critical of the Maduro regime and believed that at one time you were going to see a transfer of power to the opposition, which would have been led by Juan Guaido.
Some of your interviews with Guaido back in the day were incredible. And you can imagine how different the world would be, perhaps, if we had Venezuelan oil right now. There's been this call now for more oil drilling and exploration within the United States. Obviously, there's this big divide between the administration and the oil industry and Republicans on whether or not that's possible. Joe Manchin, the most powerful man in Washington who's not Joe Biden, said this. Take a listen.
Let's get off the dime and start producing. And you can do both. We can still move towards a cleaner climate and a cleaner environment and also promote our renewables.
What are your sources saying within the domestic oil industry? Are they starting to see some flexibility within the administration?
I think the administration had a massive wake-up call on this, Leland. Yeah. Don't forget all this ESG, what I call nonsense, this sort of prism that has been put over environmental, social governance, over what you can invest in. I have friends that, manage funds that say, wait a second, I'm supposed to be an energy fund, but now I'm really just an ESG fund. Everything gets looked at through, is it environmentally good? Is it socially good? Blah, blah, blah. That's kind of a luxury when you think about it. Right now, we just need oil. Right now, we just need energy. And so it's a wake-up call to all of us that, as much as we want to make this transition, and I'm not against that. I'm actually all for green energy, but you need to do it in the right way. And
We're
you
gonna
need to
get-
make sure that you don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, Kamala Harris yesterday or today was still talking about that, which seems a little out of step. We'll get to that with George Will in a minute. I want to get you on this since you covered the markets for so long. A number of the major indices are now in correction territory, lost 3% across the board today. They always say a recession is when your neighbor loses his job, a depression is when you lose yours. At what point does the market start really panicking rather than just being worried about what's happening in Ukraine and oil prices?
I think when Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve starts hiking rates, I mean, he's indicated he's going to do a quarter of a basis point there. He's going to start hiking, but he might have to do a whole lot more because we're going to be confronting all this inflation, and it's the worst possible scenario. This really, it speaks to the 1970s all over again, and we run the risk here, Leland, of having stagflation, which you don't have enough growth, but yet you get tons of inflation because prices keep going up, because oil prices keep going up, and yet you don't have the growth to support it. So that's the danger. Watch the Fed very carefully. If the Fed can't do what it needs to do and starts raising really heavily at a time when we're starting to pull back as an economy, we're going to get into a real mess.
Trish, excellent way to sum it up, as if we're not already in a real mess. I will date both of us. Neither of us got to cover the 1970s. Our next guest did. Trish, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.